The Washingtonville Housing Authority is celebrating its 20th year.
And Badger Sports Club has just celebrated its 50th year.
Could it be that the Mamaroneck town is finally getting a website?
Mamaroneck police rescued 2 men from a boat fire.
A special report on pollen, the latest on the West Nile virus, and a preview of the wacky raft race video that will premiere here on LMC-TV later this month. Those stories and more coming up on this edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
Hello and welcome to the Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News Show for the second week of September 2000. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Alicia Myro. Welcome back. Yep. We've been away for the summer, so let's get right into our top story. Mamaroneck Town Supervisor Valerie Moore O'Keefe was kind enough to stop by and bring us up to date on issues surrounding IKEA.
Well, 2 or 3 things have happened, Alicia, since I came and talked to you about this a couple of months ago. One, the lawsuit that was brought by the city of New Rochelle against us, which included claims for $10 million in damages and legal fees, was brought in the New York State Supreme Court. We then moved it to the federal court in White Plains because of the allegation of the federal damages. Happily for us, the federal judge, Colleen McMahon, threw out that portion of the lawsuit, which would have awarded any kind of damages. So the kind of scare tactics of New Rochelle trying to hit us over the head was unsuccessful.
So what is the basis for the lawsuit?
So the lawsuit says that the law that we passed, which is local law number 4, which requires any major development that abuts or adjoins one of our streets, which has more than 250 dwelling units or has more than 100,000 square feet of space, or it has more than 1,000 parking spaces, it requires the developer to fill out a permission, get a permit from the town of Mamaroneck. New Rochelle says that that is illegal, and we're litigating that. It's now back in Supreme Court in White Plains. In the meantime, IKEA, which through its spokesman, a man called Gadulla, has been claiming that they've been trying to get in touch with the town for months and months, although we've never heard from them in any way, shape, or form, has sued us in the state court. So if IKEA, what really wanted to talk to us before they brought our lawsuit, they could have spoken to us. So those things are going along. In the meantime, we anticipate the coming week, on the 14th of September, that the draft environmental impact statement, which was paid for by IKEA for the city of New Rochelle, will be received by the City Council of New Rochelle. It will then become a public document after they've received it, and interested parties like the town will be able to examine all the data incorporated in it and look to see what New Rochelle claims it can do to mitigate any bad environmental impacts of the program, of the project. For example, traffic, air pollution, noise pollution, site pollution, environmental problems with sewage, runoff, things like that. So we've got 2 things going. We've got the lawsuits going on one side, and we've got the environmental impact statement. Why are we doing this? Why are we putting so much time into defending the town of Mamaroneck? We think, every single one of us, bipartisan, every single one of the council people and myself, we think that this particular project in this location, under its present form, would drastically affect for the negative the quality of life in the town of Mamaroneck, not only in the unincorporated area, also in the village of Mamaroneck. And we think that this particular kind of project, a big box store, a windowless thing that depends solely on automobiles to get to it, changes the character of the suburban character of the town. Although we encourage development in New Rochelle so that New Rochelle does regain its economic and fiscal health, we contend that this is the wrong place here. If, however, they can prove to us that there will be no bad impacts on us, we have an open mind, and that's what we are asking for in our law. So we want to see whether or not the developer can mitigate. That's why we don't understand why IKEA, which claims it wants to be a good neighbor with New Rochelle, wouldn't just fill out the form. But they haven't given any indication they'll do that. They're putting huge amounts of money into it. They've hired politically connected lawyers. They've hired a huge, big public relations firm, one that has did the Bhopal, you know, the big nuclear problem in India. They represented the company there, the Exxon Valdez, with a great environmental oil spill. They brought out all the guns, all the money, and it's like David and Goliath. Will we be able to tell the truth, and it's our truth, over and against what IKEA's power? They're trying to steamroll us now, and we will continue to fight for the health and safety and welfare of our citizens.
For almost a month, the Mamaroneck Public Library was without its electronic lifeline. On July 27th, the high-speed so-called T1 data line went down because of water damage, and the library was not connected to the Westchester Library system anymore. During the downtime, it was not possible to do online research or use the online database that registers returned books. 2 computers with modems that are able to access the internet were totally inadequate to handle the usual amount of data transfer that goes over the T1 line on a regular basis. Any fines for late returns during the period that the library was offline will be excused. Alicia?
Well, Ernie Odierna of the Mamaroneck Town Council dropped by our studios to tell us about the Town of Mamaroneck's new website, due to open at the end of this month. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Amy Schachtel has the interview.
Sure. We've been working on it for about 8 or 9 months within the town already to try to make it as crisp and as forward-looking as possible. We want to bring as much information as we can to the residents.
Right.
And we want it to be fun to use and easy to navigate.
So we are talking about a website for the town.
The town, yes, exactly.
Okay,
Right.
and through this LMC station, right?
Yes, we're going to be doing work with LMC on it, so we can bring information as to activities in the town, and maybe some longer range, some video and some clips of some of the board meetings or some of the other activities, some of the recreational activities. We want to show off how wonderful the town is also, and LMC is a natural way of doing that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of, now that we have another way to pass on information, and there is so much information in a town like Mamaroneck and in Larchmont, I find out, I mean, I'm involved here, so I find out about art exhibits going on where different seminars will be taking place. But, you know, I'm right here where it's all taking place, but other people, to ring up a site and get that information is very valuable. Also, word travels faster sometimes when you have a site.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for us to tie ourselves in with our neighbors. I mean, we have 2 wonderful neighbors in the village of Larchmont and the village of Mamaroneck, and if we get people to land on the town site, we should be able to see what's happening in the villages. And in Rye and in New Rochelle, I mean, they're all our neighbors, they're all within a few miles, and if there's a theater performance or an opera performance or skating or whatever we might have an interest in, the website is a natural place to find it.
Absolutely. I mean, more and more people, not that they want a site, but they need it.
Right.
As I said, it's another form of communication, and I'm glad we are getting tapped into it. Right. And thank you for taking this time. And if there are other things that are going on along, I'd like to
And the residents should feel free
updated.
to participate with us, and it's never going to be finished.
It's an ongoing...
It's an ongoing process, and we accept and welcome input from the very bright and involved residents that we have.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks again.
Mamaroneck Village trustees Martha Sokol-McCarty, Phil Trifoletti, and Mike Sedano join reporter Glenna Gray in our studio for an update on Mamaroneck Village's streetscape projects.
We're here to talk a little bit about the streetscape on Mamaroneck Avenue and to give an update as to where we are with it. And we've had about a 2-month delay, but it was a good delay.
It was a great delay.
We were negotiating with Con Edison to find out how much money Con Ed would ultimately pay for work being done on the streetscape. And over the last 2 months, they've agreed to pick up about another $300,000 of the cost.
Great. You have to understand that originally they said it was all our responsibility, and they were contributing a minute amount. So even though, you know, people complain that was delayed, we all think 300,000 was well worth the wait. So we're very, very happy about
And that's
that.
added to the federal money?
Correct.
Well, we get the what's called the CBDG
Right.
grant.
Community Development Block Grants.
Yes.
Which we need.
And that comes from the feds through the county to us. And it's a 50-50 type of deal. We have to contribute. So actually, that's going to come off of the amount that we were contributing. So that's really good for the taxpayers.
And our time frame should be in October.
That's when we probably
To
should start.
begin.
To begin.
begin.
And the streetscape will go from Post Road to where?
To the train bridge.
To the train bridge.
Right.
Hosted.
And to go along with that, as you know, we've hired a full-time code enforcer, an additional code enforcer, and we've also have another grant in which we have a part-time code enforcer who is right now on the job, and we should have him for a couple of months. And he will be working the avenue, getting ready for the streetscape, you know, giving out summonses where they're needed, et cetera.
So we hope you get it done before the snow begins.
Well,
We're going to work right through, we hope, to the holiday season.
And then
Then out of
stop.
respect
At
for the
Thanksgiving.
merchants.
stop
Or
Thanksgiving.
Halloween.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. No, Halloween, we're doing it. We're doing the windows.
Right.
Trick or treat.
Yes.
We'll have fun with that with the school kids.
Yeah, now for the Christmas/Hanukkah/holiday season, we'll stop.
Oh, I was thinking it would be too cold by then. So what else will you be doing?
And then at the same time, we're also going to be starting to work in Phillips Park Road to add the additional 30 parking spaces back there. And we'll be opening up about 20 spaces in the Spencer lot. And we've picked up about 14 extra parking spaces on Mamaroneck Avenue by
great.
reconfiguring what's going to be done there with fire hydrants, et cetera.
Oh,
So when
good.
you add it all up, we've probably added about an additional 100 parking spaces all in all.
Oh,
that
great,
really cost us
great,
a nominal
great.
amount of
So
money.
it's like our new tier without
Yeah.
that big structure.
Exactly.
What we have
Onward to
done.
the problems. Thank you for coming in.
Great
Thank
seeing
you.
Thank you
Always
for
good
having
coming
us.
back.
A daring rescue on the sound by two of Mamaroneck's finest happened this past week. Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Amy Schachtel has the story.
Two New Jersey men are lucky to be alive after their boat engine exploded and caught fire off Scotch Caps in the Long Island Sound in Rye. The two men, Robert Kelman and Joe Pomsko, were about 50 yards offshore when their boat engine exploded. The incident occurred around 6:20 p.m. this past week. Luckily for Kelman and Pomsko, Mamaroneck policemen Craig Romanek and Richard Bell were able to arrive quickly and help them into shore. Gary Olivier, line officer for the Rye Police Marine Division, was quoted in the Journal News saying, "God forbid one of them was standing near the engine when it blew. It could have been a tragedy." End of quote. The boat was experiencing engine trouble when Kelman and Pomsko tried restarting. The engine blew. The engine cover was blown into the air and fire quickly spread through the back of the boat. The men had just enough time to grab their life jackets and jump into the water. A special boat with firefighting capabilities was brought in from New Rochelle to take care of the fire. The authorities estimate the damage to be around $28,000. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Amy Schachtel.
Something going on at the Badger Sports Club, and here to fill us in is Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Christina Bolger.
Congratulations to the Badger Sports Club of Larchmont. They are celebrating their 50-year anniversary. Ruth Collins and her late husband Jack founded the 10-acre club and first began with a summer sports program for children, focusing on inspiring excellence in sports, but always making it fun. Today, the club is still a family-run operation. However, they now have a staff of 100 professional coaches. Badger has earned a reputation for developing champion swimmers. The Collins family proudly shared a few Olympic gold medalist names with the Journal News. Among them is Rick Carey, a triple gold medalist in Los Angeles, 1984, Leah Lovelace, gold medalist Barcelona in '92, and Christina Teuscher in 1996. They had the same coach in common, John Collins, the son of the camp's founder. Badger has 2 tennis courts, basketball courts, baseball and soccer fields, a mini golf course, and a gymnastics area, and a long list of other programs as well, including a cricket and a tennis program for 3 to 4-year-olds. And best of all, the Badger Sports Club is located right in our community's own backyard. Who will be the next gold medalist from Badger Sports Club in Larchmont? Reporting for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, this is Christina Bolger.
The Mamaroneck High School has changed the name on their Post Road building. Here with the details is Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Glenna Gray.
After 70 years, the high school has finally received its proper name in stone, thanks to the skill and patience of Douglas and Ted DePietro. The school's name has been etched into the same Indiana limestone material that was used when the school was built in 1925. The Palmer Avenue building was the high school, and the Boston Post Road building housed the junior high school. When the Homix was opened in 1968, it became the junior school, and the high school took over the two buildings. The two buildings were connected in 1958. The DePietro brothers believed the general public will not be able to see the difference between the old and the new stones. Thank you. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Glenna Gray.
In the current edition of Voice of the Village, Mamaroneck Mayor Deborah Chapin writes tennis courts at Harbor Island. In 1999, the village issued a request for proposals for the year-round operation of the existing 8 tennis courts at Harbor Island Park and the construction and operation of a new multi-sport facility next to those courts. Last summer, 6 responses were received, and last winter a committee comprised of 2 trustees, the village manager and Mamaroneck residents reviewed the responses. They unanimously recommended that the village select an operator and a plan which would provide new facilities and programs yielding guaranteed revenues to the village of $4.3 million over the 17-year period of the agreement. The current licensee, Harborview Racquet Club, sued the village, claiming it is entitled to enforce a right of first refusal, written into its agreements with the village many years ago. A judge has issued a preliminary injunction stopping the village from entering into an agreement with the operator it selected. The village is appealing that decision. The village anticipates that there will be no winter tennis program at Harbor Island this season, and while they regret this, the tennis players, the board believes the interests of the 18,000 residents of Mamaroneck are best served by the legal appeal.
Well, Washingtonville Housing Alliance commemorated its 20th anniversary this year, and with it conducted a survey of the organization's primary target area in the village of Mamaroneck. The survey, compiled by the Neighborhood Preservation Coalition of New York State, confirmed that housing availability and affordability remain primary concerns across all age and ethnic groups. In addition, results showed that senior citizens, households with children, and people of color face some of the worst housing needs. The survey was funded through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Dime Savings Bank, the Junior League, and Mamaroneck Village. The survey was sent last spring to almost 2,000 households in areas containing concentrations of low and moderate income families. Causes of continuing housing needs include economic boom, neglected repairs, and particularly landlord neglect. WHA continues to find affordable housing for those in need under the direction of Ellen Levy. Since its inception, the Alliance has constructed or rehabilitated 105 apartments and 14 homes for first-time buyers. We congratulate WHA for 20 years and wish for many more anniversaries to come.
It's going to be a bad season for allergy sufferers this September, especially those allergic to ragweed. Thanks to the abundance of rain this summer, ragweed has grown to double or triple its usual size. According to experts, this is going to be the worst pollen season in 10 to 15 years. The threat of the ragweed pollen will last until the first frost. Ragweed pollen is far smaller than tree pollen, and thus it can travel greater distances. Ragweed pollen has traveled up to 100 miles from its source. More rain is the best remedy against ragweed pollen as it washes the pollen away.
Well, the rehabilitation of Jefferson Avenue Park began in mid-August. The rehabilitation project includes the removal of some of the existing playground equipment, the deteriorated basketball court, and pathway system. Once these existing items in the park are removed, new playground equipment and swings will be installed. In addition, a new basketball court and pathway system will be constructed. In addition to that, new trees, shrubs, decorative benches, garbage receptacles, and picnic tables will be placed in the park. The park is being rehabilitated using Community Development Block Grant funds administered by the Westchester County Department of Planning. The Department of Planning also provided design assistance for the development of the park.
For an update on Mamaroneck Village projects, Glenna Gray spoke with trustees Martha Sokol-McCarty, Phil Trefoletti, and Mike Sudano.
I want to give you a little bit of an update of what's been going on in Washingtonville. And one of the main issues down there over the summer has been Suburban. And
What's Suburban?
Suburban is a trash hauling company that has a transfer station in our village.
And traditionally, what had happened for many years, they really only used construction debris that they brought in there. But when another transfer station burned, they began to bring in garbage a couple of years ago, and some of the summers, unfortunately, have been unbearable for our residents. We've really tried to get tough with them from time to time, but especially this year. And the DEC has just ordered them to have a full-time person on the premises to control some of the things that they've been doing. So we're hoping that will help our residents down there.
And they've been very patient and very understanding.
Yes, I
in
think there was some
Washington.
four-legged creatures
Yeah,
around
We
these.
got reports of that also.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, for instance, they were doing things like they were ordered to install plastic curtains. This was Suburban, to keep the odors in. Well, then OSHA, which is a federal organization, came and said, no, the smells are so bad, you're making your own employees sick, and ordered that the curtains be removed. Well, if it's making their employees sick, what is it doing to our residents? So they now have a spray, a deodorizing spray.
Oh, I wonder what's in that.
Yeah, well,
Good point.
There are 2-3 other interesting things going on also. In the October timeframe, we will be taking down the bridge on Center Avenue. We've had a little bit of a delay there because of specs on the bridge.
Yes.
And that bridge will be coming down. The town's going to take it down, and we're going to be putting up a pedestrian walkway bridge, which would be great for
that's
the
nice.
kids going to
yes,
school.
it'll be very nice for the kids.
We're also closing in within a year on the funds, the grants that we got to do the sidewalks in Washingtonville. And finally, the wooden barrier on the thruway is going up.
Yeah.
And that whole
That
section
ought to
of
help,
town, the sound barrier.
What will the material be?
The material is wood.
Wood.
Yeah.
Which some people prefer wood, some people prefer concrete, but the state had told us if you want concrete, you have to wait another 10 years. So we said, we'll take wood.
Right.
I
there's a lot
find it
going
very
on.
interesting. If you drive down to D.C., as you go down all along 95, 695, whatever, all the 95s, some of them now have so many leaves growing over and flowers.
Yes.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so you almost have a picture going down.
Yes, yes.
There is a needlework exhibit at the Larchmont Public Library that has a very special meaning. For more, here's Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Maria Savarino.
Well, she started doing this when she was a teenager, and the first thing I can remember her doing was knitting me a pair of Argyle socks when she was a junior in college, and I was about to enter the Army, and she continued this handicraft work all throughout her life. When we were first married, she made drapes and throws and pillow covers. She knitted lots of sweaters. And maybe 10 or 15 years ago, she started doing embroidery type needlecraft, including candid cross-stitch, bargelet, and some other forms of needlecraft, many of which I don't quite understand, but are quite complicated.
Now, that sounds wonderful, and I read a little bit about your wife, and it sounds as if she was very passionate about what she did. Now, is this something that was passed on to her, or is this something that she developed an appreciation for, and then later?
No, she developed all this on her own. Her mother didn't do any of this. But she did pass it on to our 4 daughters, and most of them do some needlecraft and some knitting, and a couple are very, very talented musicians, I'm very proud to say.
That's wonderful. And now, the works that are being displayed at the library,
Right.
could you talk a little bit about those? What sort of things? Because I understand that your wife also made replicas of fine art pieces.
Well, the first thing she did that I can remember is 3 pieces that were copies of some bed coverings that hang in one of the museums in Boston, I think the Museum of Fine Arts. Those are at the end of the exhibit in the library. There are 3 pieces that she did maybe 15 years ago. And the most recent thing she did was a copy of a 15th or 16th century needlepoint piece that was made by an 11-year-old girl that hangs in one of the museums in London. And it took her about 1.5 years to complete the whole project. And when she died, she was working on another very complicated needlepoint counted cross-stitch project, and that's hanging at the library also.
That's marvelous. My mother knits and crochets, and she did macrame. A little bit of it passed on to me. So when I read about your wife, I understand the hard work, the labor, and it really is a passion, and you have to be very meticulous and be very patient. So when you talk about your wife doing all those marvelous pieces, those replicas, that is a true art form.
It is an art form, and it's not an art form that gets presented very often. Most of the things that are shown at the library are paintings, and this is an art form that's not very well appreciated. But I look around my house now that I've taken everything off the walls, and it's very bare. And I'd be happy to get it all back.
We'll have an opportunity to see that at the library. When does the exhibit begin?
We hung the exhibit on Tuesday. 2 of Ellen's very good friends and I did it, and it will go to the end of the month. And on the 16th of September, which is a Saturday, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're hosting a reception for the community and friends. All my 4 daughters are coming in from around the world to participate. Emily is flying in from Israel on Tuesday, and 2 girls are coming in from Boston, and 1 from Maryland, and 4 grandchildren, and a bunch of son-in-laws. So it's going to be a nice affair and a nice memory of Ellen's work.
That does sound like a very nice affair. Thank you so much for being here, and I truly enjoyed talking to you.
Nice to see you, too. Thank you.
The end of August through September is a very important time in the fight against the West Nile virus. And here is the story as Larchmont Marana Community News reporter Teresa Gilberto.
The West Nile virus is continuing to spread throughout the New York City region, as well as New Jersey and Rockland County. For information regarding the spraying schedule of pesticides, you can call the West Nile virus hotline at 914-637-2420. The 61-year-old man from Staten Island who tested positive for West Nile virus is the 7th human case this year. He is recovering at home. 5 other city residents infected have recovered, but an 87-year-old Brooklyn woman remains hospitalized and in critical condition. Westchester communities being sprayed this week include Newcastle, Somers, Yorktown, White Plains, unincorporated Greenburgh, Elmsford, Scarsdale, Harrison, unincorporated Mamaroneck, New Rochelle, and Eastchester. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Teresa DiRoberto.
During the summer, the village board amended the existing code governing littering in the village. The amendment increased the fines for a violation of the littering laws to $75 for the first offense, $150 for the second offense, and $225 for any subsequent offense.
Well, Roseanne Saracino, superintendent of the Village of Mamaroneck Recreation Department, stopped by with some video of the wacky raft race that was held at Harbor Island this past summer. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Amy Schechtel spoke with her. We had our 3rd annual Wacky Raft Race on Sunday, August 20th, and we had a great time. Perfect weather, lots of people came out, it was super.
Did a lot of people enter the race, Roseanne?
Well, we had 6 rafts that were entered. All were residents except for 1. We attracted Greg's Auto Repair, again from Yonkers. They came in with a fabulous raft. And then we had 5 resident teams that put in rafts and got all dressed up to come out and have a great time.
Who won the race?
Well, we had 4 categories that you could win in. For fastest time, once again, Sea Dogs came in. That's Beaumont Marine. And they placed first last year for the same category, so they came back to defend their title as champions. And then we had the most innovative propulsion system, and that went to Greg's Auto Repair from Yonkers. They actually built a Mercedes-Benz and floated it. with some kind of flotation, what have you, and paddled it from inside of the car. Best dressed crew went to Marino Pizza.
Marino Pizza.
Marino Pizza. And most artistically, most innovative design went to Crazy Crew, and they've been with us 3 years in a row. That particular foursome, they were there the first and the second year, so.
Were there any sponsors?
Can't run this event without a sponsor, Amy. So we had 2 new sponsors this year that stepped up to the plate, and that was our new restaurateur, Cactus Jack's in the village, and they did a tremendous job of bringing down a really tailored menu for the day and servicing the public at very reasonable prices, and the food was excellent. I had lunch with them in the afternoon also. And for dessert, Karen's Fabulous Biscottes came down and just handed out free samples for people to try the product. And they also provided the music, the live entertainment that we had that day, Cindy Moore and Class Act, as well as they provided the T-shirts for all participants, which I'm wearing one of, you know. So we had one vendor take care of food and drink, and the other take care of the frills.
Oh.
And that's it for this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
If you want to see this news show again, you can. It's on every weekday night at 7 p.m. We record one show each week, and it's replayed on this channel, LMC-TV channel 71.
Or if you want to request to see it, you can call LMC-TV after 4 in the afternoon during the week at 698-6808 and ask to see the new show. They will try to put it on at a time that's convenient for you to watch.
And this reminder, this news program is an all-volunteer effort, and we could use a few more volunteers, either behind the scenes or as a reporter, or maybe you'd like to shoot video. Whatever the case, we need you.
In short, if you want to volunteer to help us put this program on, we have something for you to do. Stop by some Thursday night in the LMC-TV studios and see how we do what we do.
The LMC-TV studios are in the Mamaroneck High School building, the Palmer Avenue site, just up the stairs across from the landmark Walter's Hot Dog stand. We get things started around 7 p.m. and we'd love to see you.
Also, if you have any comments or suggestions or some video of an event that you would like us to put on this new show, bring it to the studio or write to us at Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News in care of LMC-TV, 1 Library Lane, Mamaroneck, New York, 10543.
Thanks again for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Alicia Myro. We'll see you next week.